This is Paul Chase, and this is my special occasion speech. Here's my audience. Autism disorder, or ASD, is characterized by persistent deficits in social communication and social interactions across multiple contexts. Restrictive, repetitive patterns of behavior, interests, or activities. Symptoms must be present in the early development period, typically recognized in the first 2 years of life. And symptoms cause clinically significant impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of current functioning. There are many levels of autism, a spectrum which has a low point and a high point. The term spectrum refers to a wide range of symptoms, skills, and levels of impairment or disability that children with ASD can have. Some children are mildly impaired by their symptoms, while others are severely disabled. These cases affect mostly males, and there seems to be no cure for it. Only medication to control it or sustain it. These medications can harm a child with mild or moderate ASD. If they are high-functioning kids, medication can only bring them down. Because there is a spectrum, there shouldn't be one medication to treat the whole spectrum. Counselors in schools are quick to recommend medication for a child diagnosed with ASD before knowing what spectrum of autism they fall on. It's as if the schools just want to take the easy way out so their jobs will be easier, so they won't have to deal with an autistic child the way this so-called disease demands. As far as the Department of Education is concerned, that's the normal procedure. No, that's not normal. Some kids who are diagnosed with ASD already have a tough time in school, like trying to keep up with the rest of their class, dealing with being different, and being subject to bullying. Surely schools recognize this but rarely do anything about it or overlook it, which is due to the lack of resources which the government can put well within the school's reach. That's not normal. No kid is ever asked to be autistic, nor does anyone really know why autism is in existence or why there seems to be more cases today than there were 20 years ago. In 2010, studies have shown that 1 in about 175 kids have been diagnosed with autism. Today, there are about 1 in 68 diagnoses. That's about a 39% increase. And because of this increase, the schools that want to do something about it have a hard time getting the resources they need to better educate these kids who require special needs and help them get by in class. The healthcare community is having a hard time getting the education they need to help them recognize the developmental problems in these kids so that intervention can be initiated as early as possible. That's not normal. My son was diagnosed with autism years after we were told that he has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. And like most parents, we accepted ADHD and was willing to work with him with the best of our ability. Even the school he attends were eager to help. But once his diagnosis changed to autism, ASD or Asperger's syndrome, which is on the spectrum of a high-functioning autism, it never changed our path and goals we had set out for him. It just changed our approach. But the school saw him as not normal, and that he needed medication, and the eagerness to help was dissipating and replaced by excuses instead of taking a different approach. They just expected him to change all by himself. That's not normal. My son is not by himself. He and many other kids like him living with autism are unique. Their IQ is at a higher rate than most normal kids, and on certain levels a tad bit lower academically, but not low enough that there is no help for them or that they need medication to slow them down. Kids with ASD are visual learners. They learn hands-on. You can't just give them a book and expect them to read it and come up with the right answers to the questions. Your approach must be in visual form because that's how all kids with ASD on all levels of that spectrum see things. visually, and that will get their attention faster. That's how they focus. You can't just expect them to change. If we can see the world through the eyes of an autistic child, we will see a life in a whole different perspective, a very colorful perspective, a perspective filled with innocence, happiness, and joy, a perspective that seemed to have no rules, boundaries, or limits to life. This perspective is called limitless sight. Everything a child who lives with autism does and see in life is enhanced. It's like using a magnifying glass to see the details more clearly of a drawing or painting, how the lines and colors are related to one another, or how they focus on one particular object or task. In their own unique way, an autistic child's life is much different than that of a child who is normal. But does that make them any less human? Does that make them any less normal? Some may have a hard time communicating or expressing themselves. Some may react differently to certain things in life than others. Some may feel the urgency to finish what they started as if they are obsessed with the detail. But it doesn't make them any less human. Some may not be as sociable as others or may not read or write correctly or as quickly as their peers in the same class in school. Some can get distracted easily or have a hard time multitasking. But it doesn't make them any less normal. And for anyone to think that, it's not normal. Thank you.